does not have in his small town back home in Ohio, I believe. Yeah. In New York, he was like surrounded by an amazing group of friends, and it's just sad because all these friends start dying one by one from AIDS, and he's kind of alone again, and also sick. And yeah, his family's reaction when he has to move back home because he's sick, it's just very sad. And similarly to how the Prophets was based on, real situations, same, right? It's sad because that really was the way people with AIDS were treated, and people were so scared that it was like contagious and like didn't want to touch them and things like that. Yeah, I really liked the comparison between his found family and his like actual family. He's like shunned by his mom and his dad, his sister. I think his grandma was the only one that truly accepted him. And like his family is just so concerned with how his early teens. I don't remember, but he's a young, very sweet boy. This takes place in the 80s in Glasgow, Scotland. It is very much like a portrait of a poorer working class family. evoke tears or emotions. She was just kind of telling it like it is for some people, and it just kind of makes it all the more sad. And what happens is, this is not a spoiler, but she kind of becomes wrapped up in a scandal with the Oakland Police Department, and they begin to abuse her, like physically, sexually, and it's this whole scandal. And the crazy thing, that part is based on a true story. Like, that actually happened with the Oakland PD. Like, insane. This is also a debut novel, and yeah, it's just so raw, so real. With this one, unlike the other ones, the writing is not like as, like lyrical or descriptive or poignant, but it's just kind of, it's still good. Like, the writing is still good. You can tell the author has such a skill in the craft of writing. But yeah, I feel like this is 5 out of 5 star book for me, but in terms of just purely the writing, I like the writing of the other books more. But yeah, that is Nightcrawling by Layla Motley. Okay, and last but certainly not least, if you know me, you knew this book was gonna be in here. I don't think you can have a sad lit book without talking about A Little Life by Anya Yanagara. Yeah. Obviously, I feel like this book has become, like, it blew up on, I feel like it really blew up during the pandemic, like with Book Talk and Bookstagram and stuff. And then, like, it became, like, more controversial as it became more popular. And I think, like, all the issues that people have with it, or the kind of controversy around it, is 100% valid. Like, I would never discount someone's opinion or view, That being said, I think reading is, like, very subjective as well. So something that is, like, very, very triggering for someone could be, like, nothing for someone else. So there are, like, a ton of trigger warnings for this book. Because it is quite graphic and traumatic. Like, the main character, Jude, goes through so much trauma. But, like, for me personally, like, I wasn't triggered by anything in this book. But I think that's just because I can't think of anything that would trigger me in a thought it was such a well-written book. So, I mean, take from that what you will. Like, definitely, if you're kind of scared to read it, like, do your research. See if it's something that you think you could handle. But yeah, for me, this is probably, like, gun to my head, if I had to choose a favorite book, this would probably be it. There has not been a book that just held my interest, my emotions. Like, I was so invested in the characters' lives. And I feel like it was the first time I'd really, like, felt that way about characters and been so moved by the writing and stuff. But yeah, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that, like, character exploration and, like, in-depth character, like growth and development is my jam. And this book is just 100% that. You stay with these characters for, like, the entirety of this huge long book. You truly get to know them. It's for 700 pages. And there's not really a plot, you know, with fantasy is also like 700 pages, but there's a plot there, and there's a lot of, like, political machinations and things like that. This is purely you with these characters for 700 pages. But I think that's why the events of the book are that much more affecting. Like, the characters in this book are so intricately developed. Their struggles, their growth, their trauma, their connections with each other. And I really like the narrative structure of the book. So we're introduced to the characters, which is like a group of friends. We're introduced to them, but the book is told, like, in a non-linear fashion. And so we're shifting between different time periods, but also different perspectives. So we slowly piece together